Press Start Podcast.
And welcome back to the Press Start Podcast. I'm your host, Vic, aka Mr. Never Chillin', and this week I am welcomed back by my co host, Scott, aka Scopy1, for episode number 142.
Hey, how is it going, everybody?
And on the other side, we got Roger, aka Lunatic Oblivion. What's going on, man?
Nothing much. Just playing mini game simulator.
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah, man, it's crazy that like how last week I was talking about how I was sick, getting over whatever I was going through. Now, today my daughter ends up with hand, foot, and mouth disease. Isn't that fucking fantastic?
Well, don't put her hand, foot, or mouth in
Yeah,
yours.
Get your hands and feet out of her mouth.
Yeah, dude. Come on.
But yeah, so it's kind of started last night and absolutely been miserable, just crying nonstop, waking up, like can't really sleep that well, can't really eat that well, and it's just miserable. Do not recommend this for anybody at all. But I'm like, oh great, I can't wait to get this because it's highly contagious, and the way my immune system has been, I'm so excited to have hand, foot, and mouth disease.
Well, yeah, if we remember from last week, you were pushing back Dole iceberg lettuce. So
yeah. So yeah, here we are. But anything new with you guys over the past week?
No, nothing really.
Same old, same old. I hear it. And Scott's rocking the beautiful stash.
yes, sir. So if you can see, I'm missing about 2 pounds of beard because I did go back to some other jobs that required me to shave this weekend. Other than that, business as usual.
I hear that. And obviously, with business as usual, we've been playing some games, right?
We try to.
We try to in our spare time that we do have. But Roger, let's talk about your games here on the list. It looks like you did finally, not finally, but you picked up Frostpunk 2, which just recently dropped onto Game Pass day one as well. So how's this one playing? Did you play the original? And if so,
I played the original. I did not like the original. Like it just wasn't for me. Played Frostpunk 2. Man, this thing is a wet dream.
Yeah, that good, huh?
It plays so well. It is everything I want out of one of these games. Because like Frostpunk, the first game is sort of like it's so much more impending doom. Like the first 30 seconds of the game feel just as important as the last 5 minutes. Whereas like Frostpunk 2, like the first 30 seconds of the game don't feel as important. And like, yeah, you're on a timer and you don't know how long that timer truly is, but like it at least better than the first game.
Right. So I'm gonna get a trailer up as we continue to talk here about Frostpunk 2. Just a launch trailer for it. But tell me about the game though. Like what kind of gameplay is this? What kind of like genre does this? It kind of looks like a strategy game in a way, like top down maybe.
Yeah, so it's going to be a strategy game for sure. But the game itself is a survival strategy game. So you're not really fighting people. You're fighting the end of days essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
the whole idea is you're pretty much dealing with time itself is at an end. So it's a new not a nuclear winter, but pretty much the next closest thing. So it's all life is kind of left at this point. The earth is frozen over. It's a constant negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit or Celsius. A negative 30 degrees Celsius. So it's really freaking cold. And you're trying to deal with just keeping society afloat.
You're kind of like building these like cities as I see in the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, you're essentially, at least society has started to reclaim itself at this point. Like you actually are dealing with the fact that like there's more than like 100 people in your town. You know, you're dealing with thousands of people. Society has kind of returned once again.
Okay. Yeah, definitely looks pretty cool. Not my kind of game, but shout out to them because it came to Game Pass, so it was kind of easy.
Mhm.
Like one of those, give it a go. If it's good, keep playing. If not, drop it out. Because like if you're coming off playing the first one, you're like, man, this game was not that great. Going into the second one, you're like, I'm kind of skeptical here on this one, and it turns out to be a great game. Again, it was just another big win for Game Pass, honestly.
Yeah, like I wouldn't have bought Frostpunk 2 after playing Frostpunk 1 because it wasn't the kind of stress I wanted from a game.
Right. That makes sense. But let's talk about another stressful game that is on Game Pass. Scott, you picked up or started playing a little bit more of Lords of the Fallen. How was your playthrough? Is it comparable to Rogers? Is this an enjoyable game?
So It's as far as comparable to Rogers, not 100% certain. Once again, I've played about an hour and a half.
Mm.
Once it's very it after playing this after Elden Ring, obviously I'm like very Souls like very Elden Ringy.
Mhm.
It has a lot to it. There's definitely a lot to go through to learn and stuff like that. But all in all, it's fun. This is one of the games that I did get the controller for because playing this on mouse and keyboard was absolute butt cheeks. And this was definitely a controller game. Yeah, I played for a bit, and then this is gonna be something that like when I get some downtime throughout the week. This is what I'll be playing because I am interested in playing this and the storyline. The dark fantasy aspect has always piqued my interest, and I've rolled past this so many times looking through my Game Pass games that I have that I can try to play. And this was it was it. I was like, you know what, it's time. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get in there. So far, it seems pretty fun. I'm anxious to see how Roger and my playthrough differ.
Mhm.
And see also kind of the similarities that we had. Like if we have the same issues where it's like, yeah, maybe the combat was a little weird and clunky, or maybe it was repetitive, or maybe it was too hard or too easy. I'm still anxious to see that, but
Right.
hopefully more next week.
Have you gotten to the? Obviously, I don't know how early the mechanic is, where like you can split between the two different realms. Like,
Yeah, that's almost that's in
right out the
tutorial.
gate.
That's immediate.
okay,
Yeah, that's immediate. I'm really interested to see how that plays in to future gameplay and how like just how often that becomes a mechanic that you have to use. Like if it's very obvious, if it's not very obvious, like if for some reason you'd be stuck and you're like, oh man, I have to shift quick. Oh, there it is. Now I know what I'm doing. Um,
hmm
so I'm anxious to see that. I went right out of the gate, just straight normal. The Dark Crusader, not doing anything weird or special at this point. I'm just trying to see, the game with the normal, normal, um, playable character and go from there. But I'm hoping it wows me. I've needed something for a while that's like kept my attention more than like 10 minutes,
right,
like
yeah, yeah,
more than Immortals of Avium and some other things. So I'm just kind of like, if it doesn't grab me that quick, it hasn't. I just get rid of it. I don't
right.
have time for things that haven't interested me that fast. This was one of the ones that like it has interested me. It's interested me for a while, and now that I'm playing it, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna keep going, keep playing, and see what we get from there.
Yeah, and there's definitely a lot of content here. According to howlongtobeat.com, it takes about 30 to
It's like,
45 hours
yeah,
to
yeah.
beat. Unless you want to be a completionist, and you're looking at upwards of 91 hours to complete the game, and
Uh-huh.
everything there has to offer. So definitely a lot going on there. But game that I've been playing has been just a couple here. I'm gonna talk about the main one from Game Pass, and I finally started it, and that is Creatures of Ava. Um, I talked about it a few times over the last 2 weeks, where I'm like, man, it'll probably be one of the next games I stream, on top of Star Wars Outlaws, which I'll talk about here in a little bit. But this one's been pretty interesting, just because like how the story really like throws you into the mix, and like the emotional event that happens at the beginning of the game, and then why the planet kind of means a lot to you, even like draws more importance. And then like I was curious on, like, everyone was like, "Oh, here goes another like Pokemon kind of cloned all these creatures, and you're gonna quote unquote capture them." And um, it's different how you capture them, because really like you learn how to play this flute, and like they'll follow you. Then once you learn their sounds, you can make their sounds with your flute, and then you have
You
to
mean
like,
flock?
right, more or less. Um, then you actually take them back to like your rescue drones, because I guess your idea is like you're building, almost seems like a Noah's Ark kind of thing. Like you're trying to save these creatures from this planet, because it's like ridden with like a disease, and like the planet is basically about to die, and there's like no way of saving it as of right now, because I'm only like an hour and a half in, and they're basically saying like, yeah, the planet's gonna die, no way of saving it. Let's try and save as many creatures as we can. It does have some Pokemon Snap features too, where you can take a bunch of pictures of them and kind of have like a Pokédex, and it kind of give you like some more information. I do like the aspect though, like when you have the flute, and you can actually control them as well. Like you look at them, and you take control of their minds, and you can go use like their different abilities to like navigate the world. Like if you're blocked path, like this creature can then unblock the path for you. So it's a pretty unique. way of doing it. But then you also have this staff that has like these magic abilities that evolve, and you learn new abilities with this magical staff over time as well. And the fact that I picked all of this kind of up in just the first hour and a half, it had me hooked. Like I wanted to do anything and everything in this game. Like an hour and a half went by in a blink. I said, like I told my wife, I was like, I played this for an hour and a half already. Like it didn't feel like an hour and a half. It just felt like I was having fun, genuine time. So this game is definitely off to a fantastic start. Because definitely don't feel like that with Star Wars sometimes. Star Wars Outlaws. Star Wars Outlaws is like it hasn't been bad after I like got over that whole like sneaking around if you get caught, like the clunky game mechanics, like the outdated ones. Because like once you get more into the story, there's not as much of it, but there's still some sneaking around. But like you just master it, and like you getting caught doesn't really happen ever unless you really fuck up. Um, but I'd been having some like glitches and bugs in the game. I actually had like a game breaking one where I was in the middle of streaming, and I couldn't proceed any further because your companion Nix, who you can control with the left bumper, and you can tell him like, "Hey, go do this. Hey, go do that." It wasn't working anymore. Like it was literally grayed out. It would not let me command him anymore, and I needed to command him to progress the story, and just couldn't. So I had to basically like reinstall the game and then play it, and then it was fine. And I was just like, that was super game breaking, and like it really just pissed me off. But like overall, like I'm curious on how the story ends. But like as a super avid Star Wars nerd, I know this has no impact to the Star Wars world in any way, shape, or form. Whatever happens in the end has no impact on, because I already know what the outcomes are of, because this is in between episodes 5 and 6. I know what happens, and I know that what I'm doing in this game has zero impact to what happens in the overall scheme of Star Wars, which can be okay because it's cool to talk about some individual like isolated stories within the Star Wars universe because it is a massive like world, and so I guess like it's cool from that aspect. But it's just like I look for stuff that has more impact on the story in some way, and like I guess their tie into the Rebels is kind of cool, but like then you're forcing it upon like, oh, this becomes a Rebels versus Empire story again, and I'm like, we don't need those. Tell
Aren't
me,
we supposed to be an outlaw?
right? We're supposed to be an outlaw dealing with the crime syndicates, and to be honest, I feel like I don't care about the crime syndicates in the least a bit. I don't care about making their reputation go up or down. It's just like I'm just gonna do the missions and move on. Who cares what
You would
happens to the
hope that
reputation?
like, you're interested in money and not like the good or bad, the order or disorder of the story. But
Right. Right. I mean, so I mean, overall, I mean, it's probably at this rate going to end at like a 7, unless it does something extraordinarily phenomenal with the grand finale. Because I did get to the point of the point of no return, where it's like, hey, make sure you do all of this stuff because we're not coming back. And I'm like, okay, cool. That's where I ended my stream at this last time. So I know the last part of the game takes about 2.5 hours, and then I'm gonna have it beaten. Hopefully, I can do it in the next couple of days because we are going to be talking about it on the 28th for Shoot the Wins game club talk. But yeah, man, those are the two games that I wanted to talk about. Any other games that either one of you guys wanted to shed some light on? Maybe some Deadlock. How's that playing for you guys? Looks like it's on both you guys' list this week.
It's fun.
Deadlock is so good. It's
fun,
so
man.
good.
I was gonna say if there's a game that either of us like want to talk about, especially sharing, it's gonna be Deadlock.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like,
It's really that good.
Mm-hmm.
It's so fun.
yeah, it has it deserves every right it has right now. Like, Deadlock is honestly one of the best games in the recent times, I think.
Yeah,
They would
for
have
multiplayer.
to. They would have to try to fuck it up.
Like, yeah, right now the players, it's almost 100,000 people in the game. We're looking at like, it's the peak was 151,000 for a game in alpha. Like, there is no real ladder, there's no real support. It's constantly being bug fixed as you're playing the game. Like,
And mind you, it's
just get
invite only. So
and that invite is going around quicker than AIDS. Let's be honest here.
yeah, at this rate, like once it started to catch on, like everybody wanted a piece of it.
Yeah, and like its all-time peak was 170,000 players already.
Mhm.
And it's alpha, dude. It's alpha. Wow.
Yeah, it's absolutely killing it right now. It's what we needed and we didn't know we needed it.
Hmm.
Right.
It's refreshing, it's fun, but it still plays off of a lot of different mechanics that have been around for a while, and it's using all of them correctly. And it's like the games can last a while, and you're just in there the whole time. Like it doesn't it becomes a grind, but it doesn't feel like it becomes a grind. You still
Hmm.
have like every sense of urgency that you started with. It's fun, especially if you're with people like in Discord talking and communicating. The game is awful if you can't communicate. Just because you can't talk to each other about lanes. I think the way that they've worked this has just been really really good. It's got everything you want, and it leaves all that bad shit behind. It really does.
Yeah, it's just honestly a really good game, and I'm surprised at how good it is. Like, it's weird to say that, like, it just has none of all that hassle and mess right now. I just find myself wanting to sit down and just play it. Like, I'm not like worried about like, oh, I need to climb ladder tonight.
Time
Nah, brah. Like,
to
it's
grind
just
these
so good.
ranks, baby.
Yeah, don't have to grind these nuts, but like it's a pretty good game. I'm surprised. I hope it sticks around long enough. Like it's what we needed out of a potential new live service game that we couldn't get from any of the other live service games lately.
Right. It's doing what Concord was hoping it could do, but
Mm.
you know, here we are. But yeah, man, that's everything that we've been playing. There's a couple of games I wanted to highlight that are coming out this week. Um, three games that I'm most excited for are Disney Epic Mickey Rebrushed coming out on the 24th here in a couple of days. Then you get The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom coming out on the 26th. I probably won't end up playing it because I don't really play much Switch games or let alone Zelda in general. But overall, I know this is going to be a big game of the year. And then last but not least, EA Sports FC 25, always one of the biggest games of the year for especially for sports. Um, but yeah, those are the three ones that I wanted to mainly highlight. There's a bunch of real small other games coming out. I know Marshmallow was excited for Iron Meat just because of the title alone. Um, but yeah, are you guys excited for any of the games that I rattled off real quick?
Legend of Zelda, man, one always like I honestly after overtime pay came in, I think I know what I'm gonna be doing.
Hell yeah. What about you, Scott? You kind of agreeing with him?
It,
I know
you
you're a
know,
Zelda
yeah,
fan.
I'm gonna agree. As a Zelda fan, like even if I'm not looking to play it right out of the gate, like it's always exciting when a new Zelda game comes out. It's
Yeah.
always exciting to see what they're gonna do with it, how they're gonna play it. This is a different take. It's
Yeah.
gonna
It
be heated.
is a Zelda game.
Right.
It's actually the Zelda game. This
Right.
is
You
the
actually play
Zelda game.
as Zelda.
Right?
Hmm.
So yeah, so like I think with a lot of things they're doing this is gonna be a hit. A lot of people are excited for this, and I mean we're coming into the end of September here, almost October, so we're looking at that last little 3 month before they start talking about game of the year.
Mhm.
And this, I mean, right out of the gate, a lot of people are already talking that this might be a contender. So
Weirdly enough, like this year, it feels like there's no real contenders for Game of the Year in my mind.
I just feel
Like
like there's
it,
no one that stands out the way that they have been over the
yeah,
past few years.
they haven't
yeah.
been, yeah. But that's also what
What's
makes
good?
like this so exciting is like people have already like the hype behind it and people have already started talking about it. And so we're seeing like I think we're gonna start seeing a few more pop up that might be. But
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, because there's
yeah,
still a ton more games between now and like
yeah,
the cutoff in early December
yeah,
Hmm.
for game of the year, and I'm like, man, like the end of the year is stacked and loaded. So,
yeah.
Hmm.
And I think this is gonna start that floodgate.
hmm
And I mean I couldn't think of a better game to start that.
yeah, so we'll see how that goes. But without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about the industry news. All right, kicking off with a very, very unusual one, but it does touch home to us here in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. But Microsoft has just signed a 20-year deal to make 3 Mile Island operational again to help provide power for its AI needs. Basically, it's going to be deal to exclusively have exclusive access to the 835 megawatts of energy from this nuclear plant, so it gets 100% of all its power. In perspective, that's enough power to power 800,000 homes. And their idea is that they're trying to use this for AI. So I know you guys are a little bit more tech savvy in regards to like how AI and like the importance of this. It may not necessarily tie into games, but I know that AI creation is being used more and more in game development. So I'm curious on like what you guys' thoughts in regards to this big purchase or deal with Microsoft.
There
We're
was
entering a huge turning point in society, where computers are going to be the biggest siphon of electricity across the world, if not already.
Hmm.
But this is one of those moments where we're now looking at how do we pay for all of this? Like, we need green energy, or we're just going to ruin the earth more to
Hmm.
try. Like, we're not going to save it. And going with this nuclear power, yes, it's going to be great, but like, we're definitely not going to be seeing the benefits, especially here. Like, we're not going to see any return on investment.
Right, for
But
the local economy, yeah.
yeah, it just feels like the local economy isn't really going to benefit at all.
Right. That sounds very familiar with like Steelton and its steel mill. Like they back in the day, like the local economy got a huge benefit from the steel mill, but ever since it was bought out by the big billionaires that rule the world, they were like, yeah, there's no more money that flows from that steel mill into the town at all.
Mm-hmm.
But what's your take on all this, Scott?
It's interesting. A lot of people have been really upset about this. And for anybody who, for some reason, doesn't know, 3 Mile Island, when you think of like nuclear reactors and catastrophe, this is what you're thinking of. And so to reopen it, that's already controversial. To do it with a contract from Microsoft with the option to buy all of the power, even weirder. What AI are you making that's going to need that? Need all of that? Um, I think we spoke a little bit before the show. I think to get to kind of like a socioeconomic point there, it's kind of gonna rob a little bit of from the local communities. But it's just interesting to see Microsoft want it to open again, and I we have no idea what they're going to use for other than just AI, the all-encompassing AI umbrella that everything's going to be under in the next 10, 15 years. So seeing that it's interesting. It's a little weird. Everybody's still got the doomsday vibes coming from it. But now we get to see what it might actually be used for. Hopefully, you get to see some of that come back. There are some people, this will allow people to return to work and things like that who may
Hmm.
have done that before, or might be more well versed in in the nuclear power than obviously the three of us who play games like Zelda. But it's interesting. It's hopeful, but cautiously optimistic is probably where I would go with that.
I wonder if they use any of this power for cloud, because I know cloud is
Well,
also
yeah.
a huge
Well,
power
AI
consumption
is in
too.
the cloud. That's the
Okay.
thing. Their entire cloud network is it.
Because I feel like if that would make more sense if they described like the reason for the purchase is for cloud specifically, because then that broadens it more than just saying AI specifically. Because like you said, like what AI is really going to need that much power. But if you put it in like the cloud perspective, like yeah, they're going to need a lot because they do a lot in cloud gaming. Like if you do Xbox cloud gaming, you're going to need a
Correct, but
shit
they
ton of
already
power.
have a lot. Correct,
Right.
but they already have a shit ton.
Yeah.
They're just looking to make more.
Is
That's
this is this future proofing? Is this
Hmm.
kind of go from there? Maybe like a backup reserve where they have the contract isn't they're going to get all of it all the time. The contract is the option they have the option to buy all of it.
Right.
So is this going to be more of like a hey, we actually need a little bit more power here. Gimme.
Mm. Yeah. So yeah, we'll definitely continue to follow as if it's like a progressing story and maybe like if we get any more details, we'll continue that. But our last topic here for industry news it's kind of big. We've been kind of following it here and there, but Sky, if you want to take it away here.
Yes, so coming out of Nintendo, we talked about it a while back. We know it was a big deal when it first came out, but Nintendo has officially announced they're suing Pocketpair, the creators of Palworld, over patent infringements. So
This was a long time coming.
we kind of knew this was coming. Yeah, like you said, this has been a long time coming. This we've talked about this when it first came out. There was a big stink. Everybody was up in arms. The dust kind of settled. You didn't hear too much out of it, and then they actually filed the lawsuit on September 18th.
Yeah.
But they're suing Pocketpair on multiple accounts of patent infringement, and they're seeking both a fine and an injunction. If the lawsuit goes through, then Pocketpair may need to actually change the designs for some of its pals. The more like incriminating ones, the ones that are like clear ripoffs. But they will continue to enforce measures in order to protect this intellectual property. So it's a little
Right.
weird. Yeah,
I
not
have
weird. We knew it was coming, but like it just took this long.
I do have some
Um,
like insight into all of this as well. Is like they're suing not necessarily for the design of the characters at this point. They're not even worried about that. Um, a lot of people are like, what possibly patent infringements did they kind of do? And some people were speculating now that it's the catching of the pals. It's basically more or less the same thing. You're throwing a pokeball to capture them, but I know a lot of people that are digging deep, and I know like even Inhuman was talking. I heard his YouTube video about it. Kind of brought up a good point. Was it could be kind of just like how whether it's music or if it's art or if it's like creating T-shirts, all you got to do is claim inspiration, and you automatically like the lawsuit all but gets thrown out because of that. Because you can be like, well,
yeah,
we were inspired by Pokemon, and that's how we got our idea, and then boom, it's
yeah.
like that's it. Like, how do you go and fight that?
So the actual filing of the patent, like I was looking around trying to find it, and I found a Japanese website and translated it, and it's actually so it's more of like the intellectual property of maybe not just catching, but like just like like you said, the inspiration for the entire game,
Mhm.
and it probably would get thrown out, um, but it says Nintendo Company Limited, and then it's got bunch of different parentheses in collaboration with the Pokemon Company filed a patent infringement lawsuit against Pocketpair Company Limited, herein referred to la 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 la
Yeah.
la in the Tokyo District Court on September 18th, 2024. This lawsuit seeks an injunction against infringement and damages for allegedly infringing multiple patents by the game Palworld, developed and distributed by the defendant. In order to protect our important intellectual property, which we have built up through many years of efforts, we will continue to take necessary measures against infringement of intellectual property, including our brand. So
Yeah.
they're really just, they're gonna give that big umbrella intellectual property infringement, and then hopefully they're gonna throw shit at the wall, see what sticks, and then go with that.
So we could just circle back to what we said originally when we thought that they were going to sue over it anyway. Was how are they going to sue because like a company is doing better at making Pokemon games than Pokemon is? Like
Yeah,
just make better games and we wouldn't be in this situation.
and when we had originally like kind of ventured into this realm, we had also talked like Pokemon ripped off another game.
Right.
Like
Yep.
you're not special.
Right.
You're
I
not special.
saw a comment on Twitter. They were like, "Wait until Nintendo Pokemon find out they're not the first beast collecting game ever made."
Yeah, like what do you like? What do you want to do on? What do you want to do on that? Just honestly, like take the nod, say awesome, and then just shut up.
Right.
Just leave because the minute they say this was inspired by like literally what would be they okay so Pocketpair has the chance to do the funniest thing ever, and just however Nintendo referred to the original beast catching game when they made like Pokemon or when they're doing all that. That's all Pocketpair has to do, and just use the same argument, and then just be like, "Balls in your court."
At the end, Roger, you got any
Yeah.
thoughts on this?
I'm just wildly fascinated at where we have gotten to.
Right.
Like, it took this long, and they're like, "Yeah, they stole our Pokemon idea," and we're all like, did they?" Like, I mean, we got Digimon over here, just like, "I'm just gonna keep quiet over in my corner."
Yeah, I mean, we were all calling this Pokemon with guns. Like it was just
Yeah,
basically that. We got it, but a little bit
yeah.
more than that.
Maybe we shouldn't have called it that, but here we are.
Yeah.
Oops.
It's just so
Oops,
weird. Like
oops.
Oopsie doodles.
it's like say like Call of Duty would sue Battlefield for patent infringements because they made classes in Battlefield or something like that. Like just wouldn't work. Just be like we were inspired by Call of Duty to make a competitive arcade shooter. That it? case thrown out. Like it's just that like silly of a case, and the fact that they're really about to waste a ton of money. Granted, I know Nintendo just won some other lawsuit for like $15 million. I forget what exactly it was, but I was like, okay, cool. Maybe they're like, oh, we're winning. We won a lawsuit. Let's try this one now. And it's like,
Oh,
no,
they're
they're
feeling
riding
the
the
bird like we
momentum.
won one. Yeah, they're
Yeah,
like we won one. Let's what if we
they're
win
at the
two?
casino right now. Like, ooh, I won one hand of
They're just
blackjack.
they're just sitting there yelling, let it ride," even though they have no reason to do so.
Oh, man. Here we are. But yeah, as always, we'll continue to follow this because I know this will be ongoing for quite some time. All right, guys, let's go ahead and move on to the gaming news. All right, kicking it off here with Xbox as always. They had a couple interesting, whether it's news service or game updates. But first off, they did announce a Sea of Thieves and New York Liberty, which is the WNBA team, in an event. Basically, like they're partnering them in New York, and there's like a big old like scavenger hunt around New York City. It's all based around like Sea of Thieves like a theme. You'll be able to find like VIP tickets, tickets to games, like jerseys, like different kind of things. And I was just like, that's pretty dope. And also on the court, you're gonna be able to see like the Sea of Thieves like logo on the basketball court. Like this is something that, excuse me, I personally don't recall seeing as much, especially here in American sports, um, with gaming crossing over with like professional sports and then putting their logo on the court. Like Call of Duty has always partnered up with like NBA players and like, hey, go test our game and advertise our game and wear our appeal. But like Call of Duty's logo has never been on a basketball court, never. So like I thought this was actually pretty big. But Roger, what was your thoughts on like Sea of Thieves partnering up with the WNBA and specifically New York Liberty here?
I'm interested to see if this catches on as a trend.
Hmm. Yeah. And actually, this actually, I think it may have already happened on the 16th through the 18th. Um, so I wonder, I would love to hear like the feedback, like what the results of this, to like, did this generate some hype even around the game of Sea of Thieves? Like, was there more excitement and whatnot? It definitely looked really cool just from looking at the images on the website, but nonetheless, did not expect this, and I was like, oh, I even had to drop that article in the Shoot the Win chat because I know like they're big sports fans and was like, yo, look at this collab they just did, and I mean look what they just did with like Forza Horizon and Motorsport, that collab with like the Jordan brand and Luka Doncic from the Dallas Mavericks. Like they're clearly reaching out and trying to do these interesting collaborations. Another one here, another collaboration, more or less with Stalker 2. They just announced that there's an upcoming documentary about the development behind the game Stalker 2. It'll be live on Xbox's YouTube page on October 3rd. And basically, this is really just going to talk about like the difficulties they really went through because we were covering it there for a while because they were dealing with the whole Ukraine and the Russia war and like how that war made creating the game that much more difficult. All the delays they had to go through. But are you guys curious to see this documentary when it comes out?
I am, and I would like to see more documentaries put out like this for games that have either been highly successful despite challenges, or games that have like failed and what went wrong.
Mhm.
I
Like we
can't
talked
wait
about.
for I can't wait to see Concord. That's gonna be awesome. Just 'cause I'm so interested to see to see what had happened. um,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's always cool to see this stuff, and it's nice to see this get put out. To kind of we always bitch as the end consumer, where we're like, this game took too long. This game's not nice.
Yeah.
This game's not polished. This game's not this. This game's not that. But there's always so many things that go into making a game that a lot of us don't see. I mean, we try our best to be really informed and see what's going on, but at the end of the day it's really best said out of the mouths of the people that have been working on it and have been doing this, and it adds that perspective, to hopefully maybe make some of us mouth breathers a little bit more empathetic
Mhm.
to their to kind of like their cause and the things that they have to deal with, because there's a lot of stuff that you would never think about, like obviously this you see things, you know, big rocks that they had to deal with, but you don't get to see all the little pebbles that got in their way and the things that they've had to trip over to try to get rid of those big rocks. So it's interesting, it's exciting. I'm definitely going to watch it just because I want to see that take. I want to see how this goes, and I hope a lot of other people watch it too. And I hope that this becomes more of a norm. Whether the game is successful, not successful, run of the mill, whether it's a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or your perfect 10, or an absolute flop that closes 2 weeks later. It doesn't matter. I want to see that stuff because that side of the house, it's always been interesting to me, but I think that really lends a lot of perspective uh, to uh, to a community that is really more or less like, well, it was probably because of this. We definitely think it was because of this. We know this had an aspect to this, but it's all speculative.
Right.
And to get to see that and hear that, I think it's
Yeah.
gonna be awesome.
Yeah, I agree. Excuse me. Xbox has been kind of leading the charge here with the documentaries because, was it last year or 2 years ago? Roger, remember the Xbox
The
documentary?
Xbox documentary, the
Right, how
making of
yeah,
Xbox.
they're making it like that was really cool to see the behind the scenes and like what all went involved in like there was a lot like a few decisions that happened where if they didn't happen the way they did, Xbox would not even be here today. Like it wouldn't even be a
Mhm.
thing. So it's like really crazy to see like all that behind the scenes that we just don't have that privy to know until they do make documentaries like this. So definitely pretty cool. Last news update here is my daughter sits behind me and rips a bag apart. Um, Xbox has confirmed that they spend about $1 billion annually to get games onto Xbox Game Pass. That's a lot of fucking dollars, and shout out to them for making it work and doing that because man, it's the best value in gaming still, even
How
with the
many
price
dollars did they
increase.
get back?
Right. I would love to see those numbers, but for some reason they don't ever like to put out numbers like that at all. Here's how much we spend. Well, how much you make?
Don't worry about it. Go fuck
Here's how
yourself.
much we
That's how much.
here's how much we spent.
Right.
Okay, and what is that relation? Did you get a profit? Shut up. Here's how much we spent.
Yeah. They don't want to
Yeah.
disclose that information. But speaking of Game Pass, there was a couple of new additions. We got Wargroove 2 out now on all platforms. Frostpunk 2, which we talked about a little bit ago, out now on the PC. And then Our History Untold does come out on the 24th, so here in a couple of days. Also again for PC, so two big PC games, and then just one for console this time around. But there's a lot of games coming out in October for Game Pass in November and December, so nothing to worry about there. Game Pass departures on the 30th. We're losing Gotham Knights. Let's Build a Zoo, Loop Hero, My Time at Portia, Paw Patrol Grand Prix. I'm sad. Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney trilogy, The Walking Dead seasons 1 and 2, and unfortunately Valheim is also leaving as well. So there's definitely a lot
I think
of stuff that's leaving the Game Pass
I
right now.
think that's gonna be the biggest loss, the more felt loss. Valheim's fun for they still have a lot of people that still play that almost religiously.
Yeah.
So
It's definitely pretty big. I'm kind of sad because I wanted to eventually get through The Walking Dead season 2. I never got all the way through. So maybe this enticed me to try and play and beat it by the 30th. If not, maybe even just buy it because it's 20% off then yeah, with the Game Pass subscription. So there's that. I did not get to check out Paw Patrol Grand Prix with my daughter at
Big L,
all.
my friend.
I know
Big L.
I'm missing out here. But I mean, Gotham Knights is gone. I mean, we all know what happened with that game. That game could have been big, but it just wasn't. But I'm glad it did come to Game Pass and allowed me that opportunity to check it out because it had a great concept, just flopped in many other areas. But moving on, there was another game that was recently added to Game Pass. It was kind of like a question mark, like why? And that was Overwatch 2. Overwatch 2 came to Game Pass on the 17th. And the question mark here is that it was already a free to play game. So people were like, what? It doesn't make sense. And then people were like, can we play this on Xbox Cloud Gaming? And it's not available on that because remember back during the Activision Blizzard lawsuit, Xbox signed over the rights to any cloud based gaming stuff that involves Activision Blizzard games to Ubisoft. And Ubisoft has denied putting it on that service as of right now. But in the end, you do get exclusive cosmetic benefits and like some in-game currency, I guess, towards like a mythic skin. So I mean, if you're still big in Overwatch 2, you basically just link your Battle.net account and your Xbox account, which are probably already linked for most people, but you do get those additional benefits there. Next up, for Minecraft, Minecraft has announced that they are dropping support for the PSVR 2.
Okay.
All right, cool. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's probably what, like one person doing it, maybe two.
There's gonna be at least a dozen tweets about this.
A dozen, only 12.
There at
Just-
least a dozen, possibly 14 or 15. They're gonna be pissed. They're gonna be pissed.
Yeah.
They have tens of fans.
But yeah, guys, that's all the news I got for you this week from Xbox. But speaking of PlayStation, what's going on in the PlayStation realm, Roger?
Alrighty, PlayStation. So, in addition to the new PlayStation Pro, we've got announced a 30th anniversary console of the PS5, PS5 Pro, and PS5 Portal, and DualSense and DualSense Edge. So, this is a controller like a whole combo that is made to make your PlayStation look like a PS1.
I'm not gonna lie, like it looks really dope, but I can't justify like spending the money on it still.
It's shameless. It's shameless. They will do anything they can to try to justify the price tag for this.
Like we can't knock the USB Type C cords that they have going on here. That it looks like the PS1
Yeah.
cord.
Man, they look so fly, actually.
It looks
How
amazing.
good they look.
I was almost like, damn, this might be worth it.
Right.
And I was like, oh, wait, what am I doing?
Yeah, maybe for just like the regular PS5, like I'm sure like the PS5 Pro is gonna still probably be at least $700, $800, $900. Like there's already scalpers that they're selling. Interesting enough, they're putting up like the availability. They're like, hey, if you pay me $1,000, you'll have a chance of me getting this for you. I'm like, what?
Look.
I gotta pay you $1,000 for a chance? Like I'm just
Look,
gambling money away.
Stop worrying about how I'm making my money, okay?
I mean, but nonetheless, the colorway is pretty cool. Yeah, it's just a shout out to the PS1. If it wasn't at the bottom of the shelf over here to my left, I'd grab it. But yeah, I mean, it's cool.
I really wish they went back and actually went with the original, like design with the PS1 or PS2 controller, like the PS1 controller, for that, like, because you can fit all of that onto a PS1. You might have to
I really wish that
make it a little
like
weird,
the
but
disc tray would have been on the top and you had to like flip it open.
just hit that button and you just wait for the eject to pop. Bam, bam.
I do appreciate the packaging as well. It is literally like almost 1-for-1 with the OG PS1 packaging as well. So I mean, whoever did this,
Something nostalgia.
like they did this
Yeah.
really fucking good. Like all of the lows and the punches and everything they've been taking, they did this right, but they're still gonna fuck this up by only making like 400 of them available, or they're $1,000, or like it's gonna be something wrong with this, and everyone's like, "Wait, just stepped on a rake."
Well, it's because they're not going to ship it with like Jet Moto.
Right? It's not
If
gonna
they
come
ship
with
it with Jet
anything.
Moto, it'll be great. It would be perfect. Or
Yeah.
Crash.
Yeah, I'm sure they're gonna
It's the
sell you the
Crash remake.
console. They're gonna sell you the console and the controller, but they're like cords sold separately. Or
They
some
gotta,
stupid shit.
they gotta ship it with like an original demo disc.
Yeah, from like Pizza Hut or
And just-
something.
it's just like it's a demo disc, but each piece of each demo is remastered. Just that portion of the demo. That's what they gotta do. Like that's what you really want to do. That you want the 30 to like 40-year-old like buying this, like sell them their childhood back to them. WoW Classic did it. They did it fantastically. They're still making money hand over fist. You
Yeah.
send this bitch with like a demo disc and the demos are remastered.
Yeah.
It's gonna be amazing.
All right.
Money to be made is what I'm saying.
Or money to be lost. With the
Yeah,
Now
man,
they do
no,
this.
no,
It's
no, no,
pessimistic attitude.
no, I was trying to segue to the next point here.
Oh yeah, money to be lost.
Money to be
Concord. So the director of Concord has in fact stepped down, decided that maybe game dev isn't for him, and so we got a decent sized number from Sony telling us what they're in the hole for. $500 million, man, $400 million just to make this game flop. You know, give me like, I don't know, 10 million. I'll make a game that flops just as well.
I would do it for much cheaper.
Oh, come on, man. Don't undercut me like that.
Yeah, whatever he's doing, I'll do 10% less. Guaranteed. Honestly, you buy me like a burrito, or maybe get me like a bottle of water. I'll still make a game that's as bad as this. It's easy. I won't even waste that much time. I'll do it quicker.
Thanks for the bottle of water. No
Yeah,
game.
I was trying to
Thanks for the bottle of
find.
water. Canceled.
I was just trying to find a tweet that I saw. Someone broke it down like how much it costs for like development of Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2, God of War Ragnarok or whatever it is, and like all of those are like 312 million or less. So like it costs more to make Concord than any of their games they have ever made, and it flopped miserably.
Big
And
dreams
some
require big
people thought
dollars.
that this was going to be their Star Wars of the Sony universe or whatever. And I
No.
was like, yeah, no. I'm
What?
sorry, buddy. Like, you got to create something first to establish like that. Like, I don't know. Like, you don't go head first into a live service game and expect it to
Mhm.
become this ginormous IP like Star Wars.
I really, really cannot wait until this documentary comes out. This is gonna be so. I will watch this. This will be my. This will replace Yu-Gi-Oh as my like go to bed show. I will watch that shit every night.
Every night. It's going to know every detail about it. All right. That's all
Lull
the.
himself to sleep with it.
That's all the PlayStation news. What's going on in the Nintendo world?
So actually, before we get to Nintendo World, I was able to find some semblance of a number for the Xbox Game Pass income,
Mhm.
and it generates $9.26 a subscription. They said it is profitable and makes around 15% of Microsoft's content and services revenue.
Mhm.
In 2021, Game Pass generated $2.9 billion from consoles.
Hmm.
So
From
we can go
consoles. That
ahead and
doesn't even
turn that.
include the PC number
That
then.
yes, yeah. So we can go ahead and kind of speculate from that because all of those numbers have grown
Yeah,
over the past
especially
couple of
since
years.
2021. Yeah, especially with all
Yes,
the games starting to
absolutely.
roll out and having more of a reason to have Game Pass. Yeah,
Yeah. So I think that billion was definitely return on investment was made.
yeah.
But after that, we're gonna go into Nintendo. Their hardware now. They announced two new Switch bundles. So they have a Switch bundle with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe with red and blue Joy-Cons and 12 months of Switch Online at $300 or just under at $299.99. They have the OLED with Mario Kart 8 with white Joy-Cons and a 12 months subscription to Switch Online at $349. So you're looking at about $50 more for the OLED with the white Joy-Cons.
I'm not
Uh,
gonna lie, it's a pretty
other,
good deal for anybody who doesn't have a Switch.
yeah, it's really not a bad deal.
It's how they're getting
Um,
rid of their stock before the next Switch gets announced. Let's
Yeah,
be
yeah.
honest.
that's definitely what it
That's
is.
what it feels like.
It's a too good to be true sale. And once you get it home, get it plugged in and get it updated, they will have announced the new Switch.
Yep, you know it.
Coming out of that, we have some games here. Splatoon 3. Nintendo announced the end of regular updates after 2 years of support. So, bummer. But we can have a little bit of fun with this because today is actually Hobbit Day for anybody who celebrates. For any of my Lord of the Rings fans, and Nintendo has actually announced the release date for Tales of the Shire, set for March 25th.
There you go. Tales of the Shire. What kind of game is that one?
Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah. We covered that one. No, I know.
Yeah, we
That's what
covered it.
we're-
We covered it. We covered it before.
Yeah,
And so they've actually finally come out with the release date for that. So
yeah.
nice to see, and it's nice to see they did it on Bilbo and Frodo's birthday.
It's dope. I love when they tie in like certain things like that.
Yeah, it's fun.
All right, that's all the Nintendo news. There's actually a plethora of EA news here. First off, with Battlefield, Vince Zampella, who basically overtook like the controlling and just running the ship for all the Battlefield stuff. Obviously, he still runs Respawn Entertainment for like Star Wars and Apex Legends and Titanfall as well. But he has confirmed that the next Battlefield will be set in the modern setting, which is great. We haven't had one since Battlefield 4, Battlefield 1, Battlefield 5, Battlefield 2042, all tremendous flops. But interesting enough, they're kind of being like Call of Duty here. Maybe Call of Duty should sue. They do have 4 studios working on the one game. Dice is for multiplayer. Criterion Games for single player with some multiplayer support. Motive is also working on a single player, and then Ripple Effect Studio is working on a new experience for Battlefield 2. Who knows what that might be?
Not Warzone. Definitely not Warzone.
You're gonna call it something else. I'm gonna call it Battlefield.
It's the Battle Zone.
Yeah.
The battle zone.
It's the Battle Zone. That's not trademarked. You owe me money. Not you, but EA.
Yeah. So that's exciting though. I'm excited to see Battlefield finally return to the modern setting, and hopefully it's good again because I miss playing Battlefield 3, 4, and Hardline. Like those were 3 really fun, enjoyable games. Next up, for any skaters out there, Skate officially announced that they are launching into early access in 2025. And it's funny how they just recently announced that, and at the same time, Tony Hawk was like, "Hey, I'm back working with Activision Blizzard." Wink, wink.
LOL.
Lol.
But
Top
speaking of Respawn Entertainment, they have confirmed that the third game in development is the final chapter of the Star Wars Jedi story. So, we'll see how all that culminates and ends, and let's see if they move on past that story and then create something new in the Star Wars universe. Because they actually have been the ones doing good Star Wars games. They're creating good Star Wars games. Last but not least, from EA, they announced a new EA app, and there's not really much to go on. It's kind of like more of it's like in concept stage, but they're planning to launch an app that mixes its sports game tech, ultimate team, and live sports. So not much more than that, but I'm curious. I do a lot of ultimate team with their game. I watch a lot of live sports, and I play a lot of sports games. So application, let's see what kind of comes of it. Is it like just a companion app, or is it like a app that you kind of play in like with world games, or I don't know. I'm curious to see how this goes. But that is all the EA news that I got for you guys this week. Roger, what's going on with Rockstar? I know you dropped this article in there.
Yeah, so Rockstar drops Battle Eye into GTA 5, and the anti-cheat breaks the game.
No big surprise there, huh?
Yeah, right? Like, cool. All right, awesome. Did you test it? No. Why would we?
Right. It's like all of the anti-cheat or anti-piracy software that developers keep trying to implement into their games just break the game beyond belief.
They're like, oh, let's use this. Everyone uses this one.
Just copy and paste, just change something
Does
a
it
little
work? Yo, let me copy him. Let me copy your homework. Just yeah, sure. Just make sure it looks a little different, you know?
bit. Yeah, and here we are. So that was a quick update from Rockstar. Scott, if you want to tell us a little bit about what's going on with 4J Studios.
Yeah, so 4J, the studio behind the console version of Minecraft, has actually announced their new game, Reforge. Give me a second here. So 4J, who they've also developed the HD remasters of Banjo-Kazooie and Perfect Dark, who currently have around 50 members, not all of them confirmed, to be working on Reforge. So they're developing this game for the PC and current gen consoles, and they've worked with they're working with YouTuber Stampy to try to get their own open world survival. So interesting to see. If we're talking about things that you might be able to sue for, this might be one of them.
But it's not just blocky. There's angles and less blocky.
There are
stuff.
there are angles, and the blocks are a little less blocky.
Didn't I say, man, don't copy my homework? Like, you can copy it, just make sure it doesn't look the same. Like, god damn.
Yeah, it looks basically like Minecraft. Like
Yeah, almost. It's almost like they had.
So it looks like they're infringing on some patents here.
They definitely had some inspiration. Definitely had. Oh, there it is.
Oh, shit.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thunk it?
Yeah, so it's like Mom, can we stop and get Minecraft? We have Minecraft at home.
It's really just Reforge.
And it's just Reforge. Hopefully they try to separate that, because at this point it is way too obvious.
It doesn't help that like it's from the same studio who made the console version of Minecraft. They're just like, we're just gonna throw a new skin on Minecraft and then call it a new game.
It's almost like they had access to the game and the code, and then they just decided to work on their own.
Yep. Pretty rough there. All right, Roger. huge news here out of Sega. You're already currently playing through one of the games, but big announcement this week.
Yeah. Yeah, crazy enough, Sega is deciding that there's already a new Like a Dragon spin-off in the works, and it's Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza. It's, just I don't know, Sea of Thieves but rated M for mature.
They're gonna do Skull and Bones better than Skull and Bones can.
Oh, that's just true.
Yeah.
Oh God, I cannot wait for that documentary. That's gonna be so good. I'm gonna watch that shit with some popcorn and be like, how bad? And they're gonna be like, everything was going great, and then we launched.
Until the Fire Nation attacked.
Yeah, so
No,
Roger, what's your
it's
thoughts?
bad.
Because it's also returning to like the classic form of like combat too, like the free flow as opposed to being like turn based again. Are you excited for
Mhm.
that as well?
I don't know. I'm hopefully optimistic that it's good.
Yeah, I mean it looks good. It's just definitely a crazy twist. I would never expect this at all. But
Mhm.
I'm like I know the Yakuza and the Like a Dragon franchise has done some pretty wild out there things within their games. So I mean like
Yeah.
it's not like this is nothing new, but like who would have thought like their next game was like a pirate game set in Hawaii?
Who'da thunk it? Uh, yeah, no, honestly, I'm interested to see how it goes, but it's definitely gonna be a game. The Yakuza franchise is pretty good, and the fact that we're also getting to play with Majima is pretty cool. Like a
Mhm.
return to one of the best characters in the series.
Yeah. I mean overall, I mean it's all cinematic trailer. I think there was some like here's some gameplay here as I talk the fighting stuff, but it looks good. I mean it looks like a Yakuza game, like especially the way we've been getting them. And it comes out what early next year, I think.
Hmm. Like it's right around the corner. Took less time to develop than Skulls and Bones still does better.
Oof.
And a lot probably spent a lot less money than Concord did.
Yeah.
Oh,
February
man.
28th, 2025, y'all. Coming to all platforms too. Like last gen, next gen, Windows, Steam, you know, the works. I'm just curious if it does come to Game Pass because you figure like all of the games are on Game Pass except for the newest one, Infinite Wealth, which apparently there's rumors speculating that it could be entering the service soon since it is approaching its 1 year and when probably January, February when it did launch last year or this year. So
Guess I'm waiting to buy it. That's all I'm saying.
right, I would definitely wait until its 1 year anniversary and kind of make your decision based off of that. All right, that is all of the Sega news. Last but not least, Dragon's Dogma 2 will round out our podcast this week.
Absolutely. So it's getting a new update that's actually going to smooth out a lot of the things that people have been complaining about, or not complaining about, depending on
Who
how you
you are?
feel, depending on who you are as a person. Yes. So a lot of people have either loved or hated this game because of just how hard they made some of the normal things that happen um, in any game. But what they've done is they've released an update and they've added a casual mode to actually smooth out some of the abrasive design choices. Inrests and fairy stone prices will both be cheaper, and players will also have a greater carry weight limit, so it's harder for them to actually become overburdened, which was a huge complaint. Less stamina is going to be drained when sprinting outside of combat, and you won't start off with a reduced max health when you reload after a save from dying. So
Mhm.
these were things that were originally there. A lot of people complained. Other people really actually kind of like they were like, "This is it! Like, I love this shit. Like, give me more shit."
This is my
but-
game.
yeah, they were like, "Oh God, I love it. I wish they could make it harder." And for those 7 or 8 people, no worries. You don't have to play casual mode. But for those people that were struggling with that, they have released this in an update, and they are trying to smooth that out because they want to make sure that people enjoy playing their game.
Yeah, it's pretty dope too. Like how this update didn't just like switch the game up completely. Like they just created a whole nother like difficulty level. Like oh, this the regular mode was too hard. Well, here's like a easy mode. You know, like
Here's
or
punk ass bitch mode.
like a lot of games are offering like the story mode. Like you literally just play the game and it's like combat is like non-challenging. Like nothing about the game is challenging. You're
It's
just playing it
all
for the story
it's
to get through it as fast as you can.
That's
yeah,
like
it's
Shadow
all
Warrior, I think it was, that released a while back.
And it's crazy to think, like, even me, like, I don't even click on story mode as fast as I'm trying to get through games. Like, I still want, like, somewhat of a challenge. I'm not trying to just, like, burn through the game. I did that one
Mhm.
time with, I think it was Tunic a couple years ago. I was like, I just put this on, like, invincible mode because I got tired of dying. Like, it was just too much. Like, this very simple,
Oh,
basic
I didn't
game.
know you did
Aw.
Yeah, we
that.
talked about it on stream.
Oh, I forgot all about
Yeah.
that.
I was like,
Do you
I'm
still
not
have
doing this.
your
That
do you
final
still have
boss can
your
eat a dick.
do you
Hmm.
still have your seat softener?
Yeah,
Because
I
your
think
butt was
so.
hurting so
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I needed it. But yeah, definitely was annoying. I
But
was like, I don't want to play this, like, and try to, like, struggle to
Man,
play through
fuck
this
this
game.
game.
Yeah, I was like, I
with
just
that
want to play
said,
it.
Dragon's Dogma 2 was uncommonly hard in comparison to Dragon's Dogma. And a lot of the people who loved the first game were just fucking having a rough time with this. Which I can appreciate because I don't have time for that. I don't have time to play the same
Ain't nobody
fight
got time for that.
47 times over 12 hours. I don't got that time. And it's nice to see. It's nice to see that they actually listen. They're like, all right, guys,
Got it.
we were teasing. We were teasing. We'll put it back down.
It
for
was
you.
a joke, bruh.
Yeah. We're just kidding. It's just a prank. The prank, Dragon's Dogma 2.
All right, guys. Any last thoughts before we close out this week's episode?
Not a one from here.
All right. So we do want to thank everyone who came through and checked us out live here today on Twitch, and anyone who does check us out later on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. But Roger, where can the community find you at as you jam away?
Deadlock. You find me on Deadlock all the time. No, you
Add
can
me
find
on-
me here
add me
or
on
on
Steam.
Discord.
All right. Hey, what about you, Scott?
As always, you can find me on Discord, whether I'm joining you guys playing Deadlock or just hanging out doing my own thing in PUBG. You can always find me there. My name's Scubby1. If you want to see what's keeping me from games, which has also brought so much joy into my life, you can also get a hold of me on Instagram at, you guessed it, Scubby1.
Fair enough. And everyone, you can check me out at Twitter at Mr. Never Chillin _ Threads is Mr. Never Chillin. Xbox is X Never Space Chillin. Facebook is Vic Brubacher for any questions, concerns, or even if you want to come on the show, hit me up there. And I do stream over on my Twitch at twitch.tv / Mr. Never Chillin, where I'm currently playing through Star Wars Outlaws and Creatures of Ava, and probably soon to start the Walking Dead Michonne game as well. So got a lot on my plate here. But without further ado, we want to thank everyone again. And until next week, peace.
Restart podcast.